Hello, everybody, and welcome to this stream. I've streamed a lot this week, and if I'm honest, I've been looking forward the most to this stream. So I've been working together with my colleague Brent on a new package that brings a cool functionality to PHP or to your project. And it's a package called Spatie fork. And this one allows you to execute stuff concurrently without needing any exception at all, extension at all, I mean. And in this stream, I'd like to show the package to you. And I would also like to see how it works behind the scenes. So you see some cool functionality in PHP that you might not be aware of that it existed. Let's start by sharing my screen so I can show you things. I hope that you can hear and see me right. If not, let me know in the chat. Also, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll keep an eye on the chat and I'll answer questions. Okay, how are we going to start with this? Maybe it's the best if I show you the package. And I see immediately on the size of my dock that I have not the right screen resolution here. So I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger. I'm going to unshare this for a second, because otherwise I think it gets confused. Let's share again, and now everything should be big. So I hope that you can see this correctly. Okay, let's go to the package so I can show you. It's of course on GitHub and it's called Spatie fork. So what is this package? It is a lightweight solution for running PHP code concurrently. And you can see that it's very easy to do so. So you just create a fork, you call run, give it a few closures, and these things, they will run concurrently. So if these are like slow API calls, they will be run concurrently. Now, why did we build this package? Let's first discuss that a little bit, because there are already quite a few solutions for running code concurrently in PHP. So I got a few code snippets here from existing solutions. And this is from AMP. They have a package called Parallel Functions, and they do more or less the same as we do, but you can see that, yeah, you have these imported functions, and it's a little bit heavier than I'd like it to be. We also have React PHP, where you start a loop and you add stuff to it that should be executed. And you can see there's also a little bit of boilerplate going on. Now, I don't want to diss AMP or React PHP. They are very mature solutions that can do far more than what our fork package can. But what our fork package aims for is to be the simplest way to do this. Let's see another few examples of how you can run code concurrently in PHP. There's also Guzzle. And for Guzzle, you can't run any closure concurrently there, but you can make requests concurrently, and this is how you do it. So you create a couple of promises, and then you can unwrap the promises, and then you have all the responses. So also a little bit heavier because of this than I'd like it to be. And this is for a very specific purpose, namely fetching stuff via HTTP, and there's no functionality here to pass in a closure. And I also want to highlight Octane a little bit. So Octane is like the new way of running or executing web requests for a Laravel application, where you just have like one PHP process that stays open, and if the framework is loaded, then in that process multiple requests will get handled. And via Octane, you also have a way to run stuff concurrently. And this is very close to what I want to have. It's very simple. It's just one simple function. You just give it some closures and you get the results back here. Now, the only downside of this is that Octane only performs in the context of a web request. So if you're working on the queue, or if you're handling CLI commands, then you can't use this functionality. So that is why we created our own solution for this. So Spatie fork runs in any context, and you can see it's incredibly simple. You don't even have to open up an array here. You just give it as many arguments as you want, and those arguments should be closures. I think if you have an eye for details and you've seen that this package isn't released yet, well, let's release it now live here, because it is done and it works. And I wanted to have it a little bit of showmanship to release this on stage or on the virtual stage, initial release. And there we have it. This package is now released. Okay, let's toy a little bit with this package in PHP Storm. So I'm going to open up my terminal. Let's go to the package, open it in PHP Storm. And while PHP Storm is opening, I'm going to take a look at the chat here. And there are currently no questions, I think, and also no complaints about the sound or the screen. So I think everything is okay. Okay, what are we going to do? So I'm going to show you that this actually works, that it really makes a difference in performance. Next, we're going to build this all up from scratch again, so you know how it works. And then we are going to take a look at the specific implementation of this package. That's what is on the menu. So let's first go to the test. And I want to show you that this actually works. So here in this test, this is a test where we actually make HTTP requests. I don't know if you know that, but on file get contents, you can just give the URL and it will fetch that URL. So here we are going to fetch the RSS feeds from the blogs of my colleagues. And you know what? Let's maybe also do this. So I'm going to use this test to demo that that it will actually perform quicker. Maybe it's good that we first make sure that this test just passes. It does. Okay. Now let's do this also in a regular way. So in this code above, we are going to do it serialized. So, or in serial, I think is the right way to say it in English. So first we are going to fetch this one, and we're going to wait for it. Then we are going to fetch this one, then we're going to wait for it, then we're going to fetch this one, then we're going to wait for it. Yeah. And in this code, these three things will happen at the same time, so they should go faster. Now I'm going to measure performance with a tool that I've built called Ray. And Ray is a debugging helper. And it has a functionality where you can easily just measure performance. So let's do that now. So at these 3 points, I want to see what the time is. So I'm going to measure the time. Let's open up Ray. Bring it to this screen. You know what? I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, like that. Okay, and now let's execute this function. So I'm going to get my measurements in this window. Let's do it. And here you can see that we first start measuring performance. That's here. Then the second measure call, that's this results. And the third measure call, those are these results. And you can see that the time since last call, so the time between this and this is about a second, and the time between this and this, so the second call is this. So you can see that yeah, this takes about half a second, and this takes about a second. So this is twice as fast as this. And I bet that if we would would do more requests, then the performance difference would be even bigger. So let's try that. Start measuring performance. Oh, you know what? I'm going to clear my screen first, and we're going to do it again. Like that. But this takes 2 seconds. So this block takes 2 seconds, and this block takes, yeah, a little bit more than half a second. So the results are pretty good, I'd say. Okay, let's see what the secret sauce is that drives this magic. I should also say that yeah, you can pass as many closures as you want here. The output can become quite big. That's no problem at all. Okay, I'm going to ignore these changes because this was just for the demo. And what we are going to do is we are going to just create a new project. So Laravel new, maybe fork stream, something like that. And I'm just going to show you, I'm going to build this again inside of an artisan command, because that's an easy thing that I can execute. So how did I call it? I already forgot. Fork stream, cd fork stream, like that. I'm going to use Ray here as well. So I'm going to add Ray to this one, so I can make little Ray calls. Let's make a command, test command, like that. Commands, here it is. Let's get rid of some of this stuff here. This is named test now. Let's make it a little bit more lightweight. I don't need all of this crap. Okay, and then we're here. And here we can say, or maybe start command or something like that. Let's also clear the screen every time that we run this. Clear screen, tests, and okay, we have start command here. That A thing, that is just an alias for PHP Artisan. I have to call this or work with this all day, so yeah, I've made it a little bit shorter for myself. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to put my notes here in front of me as well. Let's see. There is a question here. It only works with HTTP or MySQL poll as well. Well, you can do anything that you want in the query. If you want to, or in the closure, if you want to do something with the database, you can do so. I'm going to show you that in a bit too. Okay, let's start with this. So I'm going to do something very, very simple. So we are going to have like a result here, and I'm going to make that result true. And we're going to have like an if statement. I'm going to do the result, check the result, and if it is true, then we are going to say okay, and I'm going to make this green in Ray, and if not, then we are going to say not okay, we'll make it red, and here we are going to send finished, and we'll make it blue. Let's see if this works. And of course, we started the command. We're in the OK branch because the result is OK. And of course, we finish also, and that you can see is in blue. And we don't see the red. If you want to see the red, then we will set this to false. And then, yeah, then it's not OK. Yeah, this is your basic PHP course. But now I want to let you think about something. So with an if statement, you might think, okay, I can only go either in the if branch or either in the else branch. I want you to think of a way of how can we go in both branches at the same time. And you might think, hey, this is impossible. You'll never get green and red in the same command at the same time. Well, let me amaze you with a function. And this is a very magical function that will fork the process. So this thing will actually split the process in two. And you can see that there's a red squiggly line under it. And that's PHP informing me that this function, that it's provided by an extension. And in the beginning, you've heard me mention, hey, we're going to do this without any extension. Well, you need to have this extension, but the good news is that on most macOS and Linux, Unix distributions of PHP, this extension is installed by default. So for all intents and purposes, you won't have any friction of this because probably you'll have this extension installed. So I'm going to let PHP add it to my composer file, even though it isn't needed right now, but just to get rid of this squiggly line. Now, what does this function return? This function will return a process ID. So PID for short, a process ID. And this uses some Unix magic behind the screen. So when we are going to fork our process, we are going to have a parent process. That's the process that started this. And we also have a child process, which is like the copy of this one. And the thing is that the parent process, it will have an ID, and the child process won't have a process ID. That will be 0. So let me just add this here and be ready to be amazed. Let's test this. And now you can see that we're both in the green and the red. So we're executing both the if and the else, and those are being executed at the same time. You can also see that we finish twice now because, yeah, we've forked our process here. But this is pretty interesting because, yeah, we can now execute stuff concurrently. And this is like the basis of our package, this function. We are going to fork the process into multiple child processes so we can do stuff here. Let's see in my notes on how I want to continue here. Let me think for a bit. Okay, so it is a problem here, I think, that we finished twice here because we probably want to have like a controlled way, like we want to execute a little piece of functionality double, but not everything that comes after this. So we need to somehow contain this here. And that's actually pretty simple to do so. We can just exit out here. So let's exit. Do that. And then you can see that we only get finished one time. But there is like another problem here. Imagine that this one is much, much slower than the rest. Yeah? And imagine that you want to have like the results of the child here. Right now, that's a little bit of a problem. let's try this out and see what happens. So you can see that we're finished. Oh, I forgot to add another statement here to drive my point a little bit. Child has finished. I'm also going to put it in the green. And after 5 seconds, we should see here that the child has finished after finished. Yeah, which is a little bit of a problem if we want to have like the do something with the results here when after our code. Now, how do we do that? Well, we should wait until this child is finished. Let me paste a little bit of code that I've already prepared here. So how can we know in the parent that the child is finished? I'm going to modify this a little bit. So in parent, I have to say here, so we don't need that else branch anymore because we exit out here. And let's add a little helper function here. Protected is finished. And yeah, let's maybe explain what happens here. So we are going to use this function in a bit, and we should pass it the process ID. And this function, it will check if the process is finished. And if it's finished, then the status will be equal to the process ID. Now this function, it gets two extra, or two flags. It's like a bitwise thing here, which say like you don't have the way the W no hang. It basically says if the process isn't finished, just continue in this process. Don't wait here until it's finished, because otherwise, the code won't continue. And we want. If we ever want to have like multiple processes, we don't want to have any hanging things here. So let's take a look at how this how we can use this. So we can do this while it is not finished, process ID above. Then we are going to sleep for a little while. And let's maybe move this up. Sleeping in parent, like that. Okay. And now we should stick in this loop until the child has finished, and then we should see that blue finish there. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, we're sleeping in the parent, waiting for the child to finish. Child is finished. Ooh, still sleeping in the parent. I've made a little mistake here, and it stays sleeping. Let's first figure out what I did wrong here. I returned here. It stays sleeping. It isn't finished. I have the process ID here. Let's first make sure that that process actually stops. So I'm going to shut down PHP because it's performed in a loop. I guess it's this one. Yeah, okay. Now it has stopped. And let's think a little bit about why it's not stopping. If anybody sees it, let me know. Code got fired, want to sleep forever. Well, not this is finished. I hope we can figure this out. If it's not, then we are going to sleep. Not finished. Yeah, I'm probably missing something very obvious here. Let's try it again. Just to get a feel for it. So sleeping, 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 child finished, still sleeping. I swear this has worked before. Yeah, because it's working in the package. But I must have forgotten a little detail. Let's see. I'm gonna check my notes here. But I got some code snippets here off screen, but I don't want to show it just yet because it contains some more stuff. Sleep, sleep. Yeah, then this one exits. Then while this is not finished, we need to continue here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let's see. Status is IT. I'm going to bring up my working code that I've already prepared on a branch in freak.dev, and I'm going to see what is happening there with this process. Let's take a look here. So this is actually code that works, but it already does a little bit more. I haven't explained the socket thing yet. Yeah, okay. I've done it wrong. So I see it. So here I must check if the process ID is 0. So here I know that if the process ID is 0, then this is the child. That is the mistake that I made. Okay. Let's just do it again, and hopefully it will work now. Okay, sleeping in parent, sleeping in parent. Yeah, now it worked. So we are in child here. I'm just going to do it one more time again. So here we are in the child, and the child is performing work, and in the parent we are sleeping. The child is finished, and then you can see that we finished. So we can basically now just check when the child has finished through this little piece of code. Now, we don't only want a way to wait, but we also want a way to get a response from the child in here. And you might think, I'm going to put like a variable here, result from child, something like that. With nothing here, then you can say maybe I'm going to put this as the result, and now the parent has it here, but that really doesn't work because we exited out here. If we are going to fork our process, then, or maybe I'll leave it here, then this is being created in the parent and in the child. So just working with variables isn't enough because you're staying in the context of you being the child or you being the parent. Now, how do we do this? Well, we can communicate between those two processes with sockets, and this is a way like a way in Unix where processes can communicate with each other, and you can program that in PHP as well. So I'm going to copy over some bit of code. So we want to, our goal is to create a result here and give it to the to the parent, so that the parent knows that there is something there. Now, how you can set up like a communication is with this function, socket create pair, and you can see that there is also a red squiggly line beneath it. And this is PHP Storm hinting, hey, you should mention in your composer.json that this extension is required, xsockets, another extension that you need. But luckily, this extension is also present on almost all PHP distributions on Unix and on Mac. So just to get rid of that red squiggly line, I'm going to add it here. And then it's gone. And what that function will return, or not will return, but will create is a socket pair. And this is like a old kind of PHP style function where you need to pass in something by reference, and then this will be modified. And how we can destructure that is like this. So this created a socket pair in here, and these are basically two sockets that communicate with each other. And I've named them socket to parent and socket to child. Now, if we are inside of the child, then we probably don't want to communicate with the child because we are the child. So in this process, I can just close the socket to the child. I don't need it. And here in the parent, I don't need the socket to the parent because we are the parent. So socket close, socket to parent. Now, how can we write stuff in there? Well, we can do that with a function called socket write. And then we are going to transfer something between the child and the parent process. And how can the parent process read it? Well, we can read it with a function called socket read. So here I should have the result finished, and here I'm going to concatenate the result, and if all is good, then we should read finished result from child here in blue. Okay, let's test it out. Like that. So child, we're sleeping in the parent, sleeping in the parent, sleeping in the parent. Child is finished, sleeping in the parent, and finished result from child. So now we have communication between our child process and our parent process. That is like the basis of the entire package. So this is like the beating heart of it. In the package, which I'll show you in a bit, we just wrapped around. We made a nice API so you don't have to use all these functions yourself. I don't know if there are any questions here, so I'm going to take a look. RIP Windows users. This just isn't available on Windows. Sorry for that. This is based on like how Unix works, and those functions they hook in specific Unix functionality. So sorry, Windows users. Maybe it works in that Unix kind of simulation that they seem to have going on, WSLD or something like that, but I haven't tested it out. Here's a question: how does it work in a web server context? It just works. So you can do this in a web context as well. Then there's like a PHP process there. A temporary child process will be created there. Let's see. There are no big questions here, I guess. So I'm going to continue and show you how we've implemented this in our package. So I think this is pretty great. I think these functions are simply just magical. Okay, let's take a look and dive into the source of fork. And now that you know how this works with splitting or forking a process and using sockets to communicate, understanding this won't be too difficult. So everything starts here with the fork class. And just a little bit of a reminder, let's bring up how you would use this. Going to do a little bit of management here. Fork test. So we do just fork new. You run a couple of closures, and those will be executed simultaneously. Okay, so we start like in the fork class, new, and that's basically just, yes, something nice. So you just can new up a new instance. And then you can just pass things to run here. Okay. What are we going to do here is we are going to get all the callables that you give us. And we have some functionality that you can execute some stuff in the parent. I think parent process. This really should be. Maybe I should show you that as well. So let's go to a little example that we have here. This is something nice that I can show you. There was a question of someone who said, or who asked, can I create or use database calls? Well, you can. Here's Laravel specific example. So here you can in this closure just do some eloquent queries. But one thing you should do is in the child process, before each child process, you should reconnect to the database. This is like a technical little detail that you need to be aware of, that a child process isn't connected to the database automatically. You'll have to call this function first. So we have some functionality here that you can say, hey, execute this in each child function before this is executed. Now we have also an option that you can say to before, hey, this closure should be executed in the child task, and this should be executed before the parent task. This is some nice PHP 8 functionality that we use for this. These are named parameters. So what you see here is the closures that should be executed before the parent task. Now this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So task for callable. So you can see that we have a class task here. It's actually a very small package when you take a look at this. And task is basically like a wrapper around that callable that makes coordinating between the child and the parent process kind of easy. Now, I'm not going to dive into this one first. Let's just continue figuring out the flow here. So here we are going to call fork for task and give the task object. And here you can see that we use that forking function to fork the process. You can also see that we have a child and parent socket here, or a socket pair here, and we've wrapped that in a connection class, so you don't need to see the underlying functions. Basically, it's just the same as what I've just shown you. And here you can see that if we are in the child task, and how we test that is with that check on process ID 0. So if we are in the child task, then we are going to execute the task in the child task. And here you can see that we have the code that does that. And here you can see that we run all the before callables. And here we are already in the child process. I need to rename this to process, because task is not the right word here. And then we are going to execute this. So this is basically the closure or the callable that you gave us. And then we are going to write it to the output. So the connection to the parent, remember, that's our socket that we had. And here you can see that there's a little bit more code to it. Why is that? Because a socket, it expects output to be of a certain length, and the length needs to be very small, because this is like a function that wants to be executed very efficiently. And it's recommended that you only write small stuff to the socket. So what we do here is basically chunk the output, and we have like a nice way of splitting the output in specific parts and just writing large output in small bits to the socket. Let's go back. So yeah, here we've written all the output in the child process, and then we are going to close the socket, and then the child process is basically done. Now let's go back and see what happens in the parent process, how the parent process waits on this. So we have forked all our tasks here. We have had them in an array. And here we are going to wait for all those tasks to complete. And this is more or less the same thing that, when we were building up the code. As long as there are running tasks, we are basically going to loop over them. And every second check if there is a task that has finished. Now, there's a little bit more to it, but I'm already talking for a long time, so I'm not going to dive into details here. But basically, we are going to stay here until every task has been finished, and then we are going to return all the output. So basically, this is basically some wrapping code around everything that I showed you before that makes using it as simple as this. Now, this package wasn't released yet before the stream, but there were already some people using it. And I want to show you one example here. And this is a discussion started by Jason Varga, who works on Statamic. And they use it in their static site generator. And let's view a little bit more. I asked at what kind of difference that our package gives it to run their code. And he said that one project I had tried went from 2 minutes down to 19 seconds when splitting the work, I guess, into 8 processes on a MacBook. So yeah, this is pretty nice. Good. I think that is, I think those are the things that I want to say about this. I think this is, probably the easiest way to make things concurrent in PHP, and in a way that it just works everywhere, whether it's in a web request or on a queue or in a CLI command. The only place where it doesn't work is Windows. Sorry for that. So I hope that you've liked that you like this, and that this can be of use to you. Now in the stream, you saw me use a little tool called Ray. This is something that my team has created recently to make debugging a little bit more pleasant. And to thank you for watching, I'd like to give away one copy of Ray for free, and that is via a coupon code, and it's just for the one that is the fastest to use the coupon code. And let me paste the coupon code here. Async PHP is fun. So with that coupon code, you can get Ray for free. So good luck to the first one that gets this. So let me check if there are any questions here. I'm going to put the coupon codes in view here, and let's see if there are any more questions here. Not sure if it matters in this context, but I saw you are using string length for the socket payload. Wouldn't multi-byte string length be safer? Yeah, probably it would be. Maybe I'll change it. I need to test it a little bit. Probably you're right. Would you call this package a poor man's batch queue system? Yeah, you could think of it this way, because another way of doing stuff concurrently in PHP is, of course, with queues. And yeah, queues work perfectly if you're like in the context of an application. But yeah, if you're like in the context of a CLI command, or you want to do something framework agnostic and you want to make it really speedy and you don't know if a queue is available, then this is like the nicest way to do it, I guess. The coupon has been used too many times. Yes, sorry for that. Somebody was quicker than you. So better luck next time. Probably in the next stream, I'll do another one of these coupons. So yeah, that is all that I have for you. If you have any more questions about fork, let me know on Twitter. I should also say that I didn't create this by myself. Actually, the work on this was started by my colleague Brent, and I just helped polish it and put it in a package. But a majority of the credits go to Brent as well, like you can see here in this little section. So with that being said, that is all I have for you. I hope that you like this. If you find it like a good use case to use this, let me know. That just motivates me and our entire team to work a little bit further on this package and all our other packages. So thanks for watching, everybody, and enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.